Hey, good. This is Wednesday morning here. It is about 10:39 in the morning. Wanted to come to you and talk about a lot of different things, including this right here, the haze, smoke, and much, much more. First off, I want to remind you here, let me know where you're watching from. You can place that in the comments. Love seeing where our viewers are following from, and also any questions you have, we will take some time and check those questions periodically and answer a lot of them on the end. In addition, if you have not downloaded the WCIA3 weather app, that app is a great way that you can stay connected with the forecast moving forward. That's important there. So Apple, Android devices, you program your location, set your alerts on there, and we'll notify you if there's ever any severe weather alerts on there. A lot of you probably have gotten the air quality alert that was issued yesterday. And in addition, that app, you can also get the news app. They're both great apps to have here, a great pair of resources to have for that. So just a reminder again, you can download that for Apple and Android devices. Okay, let's talk about it. The white elephant in the room here, haze and smoke out there, and it is thick. We're rotating through a lot of these cameras. There's Chicago, that's the lakeshore and the skyline there. This is Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis has some of the worst air quality. Up northwest Illinois, Quad Cities, still looking really dense out there. Same here right in Champaign where we've got all of these issues. Let's take a little time and do a Skycam tour here and see what's happening. So I'm going to clear those cameras out and we'll bring up that Charleston camera for you. It is thick, acrid, nasty smoke. You can see even in Charleston there, it's down towards the surface. Danville, similar story here. A lot of that smoke is close to the surface. You don't get any blue sky on a day like today. Decatur, we'll head there. Really thick and dense. You can hardly see into the distance there. Effingham, we'll just keep going down alphabetical order here. And of course, if you have photos, we appreciate seeing your photos. Send those our way. This is panning up a little bit. You can't see really much of anything there. Gibson City, you see that haze. It looks a lot like fog. You know, this morning it was kind of cool. It was kind of, you know, a little still, very quiet. It reminded me of a foggy morning. And then the smell and the taste hits you. Mattoon there. We'll go up to Pontiac, finish in Springfield, and then move on to our graphics. We've got a lot to talk about. Pontiac, I mean, anywhere you go, all of us are suffering from this haze and smoke that is in the area here. So that is that. Okay, let's quickly hit current conditions, what it is in the region. First off, our temperature out there is sitting into the 70s. It's 73 in Champaign, 73 in Decatur. Dew point values are in the 50s in most spots. Just the numbers alone, if you didn't look outside, you'd think it's a really nice day, even with a bit of a wind here. That wind turning more to the south, I think, is going to help to mix some of that smoke up. It would be normally a nice morning here. Then you see this graphic, visibility. Oh. This is normally reserved for dense fog when we see numbers down to 2 and 1. That's how thick the smoke is, and it's from east to west, north to south. Everyone is suffering with that here. I will mention there are actually a few rain showers coming on through, and that's something to watch. It seems like the rain should help, but this may not be enough. Sometimes that rain will actually help compress that smoke to the surface before it cleans it out. And so that may be what we're seeing here with some of those showers that are moving on through, but certainly there's some clouds, some showers here and there, and we'll switch over to Storm Tracker Doppler and point in on those. Got a little bit of a batch here in Champaign County. Had some light sprinkles in the station here. Looks like from Rantoul now towards Gifford and off to these towards St. Joe, up towards Royal, getting a little bit. Could be some also south of Paxton towards Elliott and then off to the east towards Rankin. It's not much here. We'd like to get more, and there may be some more spotty sprinkles out there. I don't know if it's going to be enough to help a whole lot. And again, it may get worse before it gets better. I know, right? It may get worse before it gets better, but that certainly is an issue. There may be some more rain showers that move on through. Now, when we talk about smoke, when we talk about rain, it has a very interesting impact where the smoke can sometimes hinder the rain. It's a lot of dry air, and it can be so much that it almost chokes the rain out, causes it to dissipate. We've kind of seen that a little bit here as they've moved off to the east. Acts like really dry air. However, if you get enough rain to overcome that, that can help to purify the air here. So a couple of scenarios where we will watch how things play out on that, and certainly has our attention. Let's switch to visible satellite. You can see all the smoke that's underneath those clouds moving on through. Those grayish hues here, just yucky air that is in place. If you're thinking about, hey, yard work today, it is not the day to do it. Might get some of those light showers in the morning. Could be another chance as well into tonight, and the severe risk goes up tonight as well. Stay tuned for that. We will talk about the severe weather threat coming up in a bit, and I think it's something that's important for you to listen to with the threats that we have coming our way. Here's the air quality. Basically, we're stuck here in that very unhealthy category. You know, we've seen a lot of yellow. We've had days with orange. We hit red, and now we're into the purple here. Beyond that is maroon hazardous. It is very rare to even have very unhealthy, even unhealthy, the red and the maroon. So we're in some really rare territory here. You know, it's the rare. We're going to remember this pattern for the rest of our lives here based on things are. And when we look across the region, that red and purple color is all over. It's bad air from Milwaukee through Chicago, northwest Illinois through Indianapolis, and then even into Ohio as that smoke is being forced our direction. And the air quality forecast for the day will stay purple here, that very unhealthy level. Over time, into the afternoon and evening, we'll start to see some gradual improvement. It's not going to be fast enough. Some of you want me to snap the finger and make the smoke go away. I know, but it is something still where we will watch and keep a close eye on with how quickly it can mix out and how quickly can we get some rain in here. Why is it so smoky? Why is it so smoky? I got a graphic here I'm going to show you. First off, there are a lot of fires in Canada here. It is no fault of Canada. Some people have been like, Canada. They've had dry weather. They've had a lot of issues with lack of rain. They've had a lot of lightning storms with no rain with them as well. So a lot of these fires have been set. Quebec, Ontario have been hit hard. Alberta was hit hard earlier in the season as well, and it's an unusually fast start. There's no one single issue that's causing this. This is a multitude of issues that is leading to us having the smoke. The first one, obviously, is the fires. They've got help from Australia, New Zealand, the United States. Over 500 forest fires, almost 500 forest fires are burning. Over half of those are considered out of control. There's so many of them. How can you control that many? 20 million acres of forest have been burned so far up there, and a very bad season for us. And as we look here then, what we talk about is where that smoke is going. Normally, the jet stream goes from west to east and pulls it away. We found ourselves in a real finicky pattern, though, where you know how we had that north and east wind? We've had questions. Why so much north and east wind? Well, that northeast wind has been because we've had a trough in the east and a ridge to the west, and we found ourselves either with cold fronts coming through from the north or a low pressure off to the north and east of us. And that just makes sense where you've got the flow around there and the flow around here, grabbing that smoke and channeling it through there. Now, as that smoke gets between the high and the low, it kind of narrows and it gets forced down to the surface, which is an issue here. And that's why we've had such hazy weather where all that smoke aloft normally is up there. We've got okay air quality, but we're squeezing it and forcing it down to the surface. So that's one of the big issues that we're having with that smoke and haze that is in our area. And it is just awful, atrocious. I think by tomorrow morning, we'll be in a lot better shape. Still probably going to have some air quality issues, though, into tomorrow and beyond as we've got this pattern in place. But there's some hope on the horizon here in spite of this nasty, nasty air. This is one of those, and I'll back it up for you. See that plume where it kind of comes around as being forced through here? That's why we got such bad air quality. As we move it forward then, notice into the afternoon, still 8, 9 o'clock, the smoke forecast is showing more of that still in place, but there's signs that it's starting to mix up a little bit. And then you'll see here by tomorrow, that looks a lot better overhead. We may still need to mix some of it out, but we'll be in a much better place, I think, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning as far as the smoke goes. Now the attention turns to the severe weather threat that develops in our region here. Tonight, the first chance for showers and thunderstorms to develop. It'd be after midnight, some scattered storms. Not all of us, but if you get that, you could wake up to some noisy showers and storms, a lot of lightning and potentially a little bit of severe weather with that. And we may see more of that into tomorrow as well here. And so that is something that we're watching closely here. There's a number of things that are going on. First off, the heat and humidity is making a return. So far, we've had just the heat. We've had dry air. That's kept the rain away. Look where dew point values are heading, though. When you get dew point values into the 70s here, that is a sign of some muggy air in place. And that's not only besides the storms going to cause issue, it is allow for some moisture that maybe we can get some rain, but it also adds to the instability in the atmosphere. You'll almost feel it tomorrow, I think. Look where our heat index values end up as we go into tomorrow. I mean, we may see widespread triple-digit heat index values. No word on if there will be a heat advisory issued. I don't know. This may be a one-day event for us with the heat, but that would be pretty awful to deal with. Can't we get a break from Mother Nature after the smoke? Then tomorrow we're going to deal with heat index values very high. That instability is going to be an issue. This big ridge, remember that ridge to the south? Well, that's really causing a lot of problems. You've probably heard about Texas and the deep south having just incredible amounts of heat there. You've got this pressure cooker heat ridge in place. It's a lid on the atmosphere. Everything underneath it just boils, and that's what's happening down there. On the edge of it, call it the ring of fire. It's the outside edge of it. You know, you take a circle, you're talking about the circumference of that circle, the outside edge. That's where you actually can see increases in chances for showers and storms. Now, that ridge may move a little more our way, may dive a little south, but in general, around that zone, you start seeing increased chances for showers and storms. And that is the case for us starting tomorrow. Even today, some of those showers are a sign of that change that's coming. In that ring of fire pattern, though, it can be very volatile. It can be also quite unpredictable. And what I mean by that is it may be up to 12 hours or less before storms arrive that we've got good confidence for the exact timing and the nature of those storms. But in general, we know that these patterns often will produce big storms that have hail threat early on, and then they'll transition, merge together, and turn into big squalls that blow on through. If those storms form nearby or overhead, you got the hail problem. If they form to your west or north, they head your direction, you got the wind problem with potentially the hail problem as well. And even the tornado threat can't always be discounted in these types of patterns, so we are going to watch things closely. I think the potential day with the greatest impacts will be Thursday, but I won't rule out Friday and beyond as long as we've got this flow in place. And so that's why that concern is, well, great, we get rain and a good chance for it. Severe weather might be the issue for us somewhere in this region. We will show you here real quick the storm predictions and our outlooks. The latest outlook does have us under a severe weather risk technically today, tomorrow, and into Friday. This here is the risk for today, marginal risk. It technically is for after midnight tonight. So we'll see how that pans out. This is the risk for tomorrow, though we've got that slight risk. And there are some features in this slight risk that maybe take it a step above a normal slight risk, but not quite to an enhanced risk. Maybe if confidence improves, we would see a level 3 risk tomorrow. But I still think tomorrow has the potential for 2 rounds of severe storms. And then even into Friday, there may be some storms that form overhead Friday morning and race off to the east, turning into a windbag for Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio as it exits. So all of that going to be watched very closely. This is going to be my big broad brush here. Tornado threat, we'll call it low, but it may be a little higher during specific times or specific rounds. The hail and wind threat will be the greatest here. Storms initially are hailers. They may turn into a wind threat. And I don't think we'll have to worry about flooding. They should move at a good clip, and we're dry, so hopefully the ground can absorb that. But that could be with several rounds through Friday. You'll notice here the atmosphere as we get into tomorrow. This is tomorrow afternoon. We're really high up on the fuel, the instability in the atmosphere, and so that's going to be an issue for us. Let's time it out here. Future track, I think, doing a good job showing some of these spotty showers today pushing on through. We'll see. Should dry out tonight. Notice, though, by midnight onward, we may see some storms develop here. This right here would, to me, be the first round of severe weather. Now, these storms would not be surface-based, and what I mean is when storms are surface-based, that's when you have the potential for a tornado threat. These storms are more elevated up higher in the atmosphere. Not a huge distance, but they're not connected with the layer of air at the surface. That should limit the tornado threat. However, it really brings up to me the hail threat with storms tonight into tomorrow morning. And so by tomorrow morning, during the morning show, we may deal with some storms with large hail. You'll notice here, Future Track says the I-57 corridor. I think that will play out, but it could still end up somewhere else in the region here. So we will watch that morning round, and there could be some large hail with that. Could be quarter, $50, maybe some golf balls. I wouldn't rule out with that as we continue to watch. The afternoon then brings us some clearing. Now, if you remember, back in early April, we had an event where we had the cap in place. When you have the cap during severe weather, if the cap holds, no storms. If the cap breaks, even for one storm, that's when you can get significant severe weather. The cap will hold for a lot of us, we think, on Thursday during the day, particularly afternoon and evening. However, if we get just one storm to form, that volatile instability in place would allow for the potential for some very large hail, damaging winds, and potentially a threat for tornadoes here in the region. May only be one or two spots. It could be more to the north. We'll see how that plays out. But that Thursday afternoon, evening time is what we call the cap event. The lid on the atmosphere that keeps storms from popping here. That's something that we'll watch. And I'll explain more about the cap coming up. You notice Friday morning, remember the risk on Friday? We might get a line of storms or a batch of storms with a wind and hail threat again. Probably not a tornado threat with that, but that may be Friday morning and exiting to the south and east with that severe threat that extended towards Indiana, Kentucky, and in Ohio. This is the risk for the tornado on Thursday. We're going with a 4 on our scale for Thursday. This risk, I think, is limited to the afternoon and evening hours. Tomorrow morning, give it a 1, maybe a 2. By the afternoon and evening, we're at that 4, and you'll notice here it's in a good chunk of central Illinois. There will be some adjustments through the day today as we get more confidence, but that's the baseline for where we will start with things for Thursday afternoon and evening. The hail threat. This is something where I think we could have some issues, and it's quite high on the scale here. The morning round probably will be golf ball at the maximum. So that's something that we'll watch. By the afternoon, that threat for some of us may increase to tennis balls. Not every storm will have hail that size. Not everyone will see hail. Not everyone will even get hail that size, but the potential is for some of those areas, those smaller individualized cells in the afternoon, if we get 1 or 2 to pop, the potential is for some very large hail with those storms. Tomorrow morning, probably a safe bet. Most of the storms will have at least some small hail. Could see quarters, maybe get some golf balls. Afternoon, a couple of storms is all we need, where we get some large hail out of that as a possibility. The other thing is the wind threat. We'll go with at a minimum 65 mile an hour now. There could be easily gusts over 70, especially if those clusters, those complexes of storms race on through. This would be primarily for the afternoon and evening as well. Could be some wind in the morning, but I think the hail threat will be the issue for tomorrow morning with the tornado wind threat ramping up a little bit. I showed you one version of Future Track. I'm going to show you another version. When it comes to our model guidance, frankly, it's all over the place. It does not handle these events well. So we got to look at the details, the setup. That's why we talk about the ring of fire pattern, the instability, the volatile atmosphere, all of those things. This particular run of Future Track has tomorrow morning. There's our storms. Where exactly? We'll see how it plays out. It clears us out by tomorrow afternoon. This, though, redevelops some tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. You see here, it looks more linear. It might be a sweeping line that comes on through. We'll watch that clear out by Friday. Might see some more storms blow on through. That's that Friday morning chance. And then from then on, I think Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, we'll still have the chance for some scattered showers and storms out there. You'll see here comes around Saturday morning. Here comes some more into Saturday night, Sunday. So we'll watch all of that and see how it plays out. But we may not be done with the severe threat. At this point, my focus is on Thursday. But just know, there's rounds of showers and storms expected Thursday all the way through Sunday at the earliest here is what we'll watch. If there is good news in all of this, I know, severe weather, smoke, rounds of showers and storms, that maybe will excite some folks. Maybe we don't want the hail and wind, but if we could just get some rain here, some of those rainfall totals may add up over the next couple of days where by the middle of next week, we may have some areas of 1, 2, even 3 inches of rain. Wouldn't that be so nice if we can spread that out over 3 or 4 days? That's an ideal scenario. You might get 1/2 inch to 1 inch with a round, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch with the next round. We'll see some spotty showers and storms here and there. So that is some good news with this pattern where we get beneficial rain. Unfortunately, it does come with a severe weather risk. This pattern here does not surprise me either, and I think the rest of the summer may see more in a trend of where we have these rounds of showers and storms like this. We're not done with the drought, but it may be a step in the right direction. But unfortunately, with the shower and storm potential, I think through the rest of the summer, there will still be some dry time. Don't get me wrong, but I think we're starting to enter a more normal pattern where we'll see better chances for these showers and storms, which is something that we'll have to watch closely. Whew, a lot there. We're going to recap, then I'm going to check questions. I also want to talk about the cap. Recapping here, severe weather threat primarily tomorrow. The morning round, mainly hail. Could be some quarters to golf ball. Afternoon and evening, we have a cap in place. If that cap breaks, think of it putting a lid on your pot on the stove with the water boiling underneath. The lid comes off and allows for a few storms. Might have a tornado threat, potentially a hail threat where some golf balls to tennis ball size hail is possible. That also could transition into a wind threat as it turns into a line or a complex and sweeps on through. That'll be tomorrow afternoon and evening. Friday morning might be another chance for some hail and wind. Probably not a tornado threat there, but that's because of the ring of fire pattern that is in place. In addition, the air quality forecast, we're already here. Slow improvement through the day. You probably won't notice it if you're watching. It'd be like watching paint dry. But by tonight into tomorrow morning, I think you'll notice a difference in that forecast here with the air quality starting to show signs of improvement. That is what I have for you. Let me show you one last thing here. I'm going to pull up my cap explainer. Somebody's saying, I don't know what the cap is. What the cap is, it's a layer of warm air aloft. You think back to science when you were in high school, even earlier. Warm air rises. You think about your house, you got the fans in your room. You're supposed to flip the switch in the summer to allow the cooler air to be forced down. Warm air rises. Your second floor might be warmer than your first floor. Cooler air falls. That's the same thing in the atmosphere. If we have a parcel of warm, unstable air at the surface, it likes to rise and go as fast as it can. If that parcel rises, it does cool off. But if it hits a layer of warmer air than the parcel is, with that little, it'll take a balloon. If it hits that layer of warmer air, it cannot keep going through it. That's called a cap. That air particle, that little balloon will go up and it will kind of hang out there. Sometimes at nighttime you can see this at a campfire. The smoke goes up and then it kind of hangs there and spreads out a little bit above you. That's the cap. Keep this in place, no storms. If the cap breaks, and even in just one spot, then we get the storms that are allowed to form, and they can tap into a lot of that instability and become severe really quickly here and cause hail, wind, and even a tornado threat. So that's what we're going to watch for that Thursday round here. Whew. I'm a little tired of covering intense weather. What we've had January tornado outbreak. We've had early February tornadoes. We had dust storm. We had a big outbreak on March 31st, a deadly tornado outbreak. We have the smoke. Now we've got storms tomorrow. I'm just a little tired of all of this here, as I'm sure many of you are, but that is probably what, hey, sometimes in drought. How about the drought too? That's something that we have. Okay, I'm going to go back and talk about questions. If you got any questions, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the comments. And there's a lot. Add those questions there. We will answer those. If you're looking for more information, by noon, I should have the Weather Now article updated. You can learn more about the smoke, the haze, and all that as well on WCIA.com. Some great articles that Seth, Kevin, Adam, and I have put together. So check that out. All right. Let's see here. Folks are from all over. Really appreciate folks that are checking in, where you're at, what you're doing. It's always neat to see. Everyone's saying it's smoky. Got a raindrop report in Philo. Yeah. Again, the thought is maybe that rain makes it a little worse before it makes it better. What we really want is like a nice soaking rain. And this is just kind of sprinkles. And what happens is when you've got that, there's air that's moving downward. It's being forced down, so it can kind of compress the air at the surface. So make it a little worse here with those spotty showers coming on in. Tim saying it smells and looks like someone's burning leaves. A lot of people have also said it smells like plastic. And there's not plastic burning necessarily that we would be able to tell, but what happens is the UV light from the sun actually interacts with the smoke and it makes it almost smoggy. It turns it into like a hazy smoke combination, and that also can affect the smell of it. It almost like, in a way, it kind of oxidizes the smoke, and so you kind of smell that awful smell. Some people are saying, oh, something's burning, it's got to be trash, or that's the sun that's just not helping us here as it hits that layer of smoke and mixes it down. So certainly an issue. Lots of folks say it's really smoky. I know. I feel it in my throat. I smell it even inside. You got the windows closed, the AC on. If you've got a filter on your AC, you're good as long as you're inside. I got an air filter at home, just separate, that we're running constantly to keep things. That is the case. Shelley asking, would it be safe to work outside if I wear a mask? I mean, you can, but it's got to be like one of those N99s. You know, I would not wear a mask and work outside. I think the best thing is just to hang out inside, do some laundry, things of that. That's probably the case. Beth, here it is. What's with the burnt plastic smell? What's going on with that? That's just that UV light that's causing an issue, and so we are seeing lots of problems with that. Yeah. Okay. I think we got most of the questions. Going to recap. Actually, one more question just popped in here. Are there any clouds in the sky? I can't tell with all the smoke. Yeah, I know, right? It is hard to see. There actually are some clouds today that are moving in with those rain showers. Visible satellite here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move in here. And this is a view at about 9 a.m. or so a couple of hours ago. You can see the drastic difference here. This lighter shade, this is all that smoke that's being even picked up on visible satellite. When you see smoke on visible satellite, you know it's thick. This here is cloud cover. There is cloud cover moving in. The combination of clouds and smoke with a little bit of light showers may only make things a little worse. And that's going to be an issue for us as we move on forth. So that's certainly going to be a problem where you've got that cloud cover moving through and smoke. At some point, we are going to see things improve. I do think that's happening, but it may take a little bit of time here. And so that is kind of what it is. Here's a message. Terry saying people are going to urgent care with breathing issues. Not a surprise. We've got reporters that are checking into the local hospitals to see the numbers. I know a lot of folks are going to really suffer. Kenneth is saying you get more smoke standing over the grill on 4th of July than anything you're going to get from Canada wildfires 1,000 miles away. That actually is not true, and here's why. When I'm grilling, I got the smoke right in front of me. I could step back, and there's a lot of fresh air that's around me. All of the air is tainted here, and it is in that hazardous quality, so the air will be worse now than if you were from the smoke at a 4th of July grill. You're firing up the grill, doing some ribs, some pork chops, whatever the case is. Today is by far a much worse day. And if you don't believe me, go outside and stand in it for 5 minutes. I don't recommend that, but you'll experience very quickly. My eyes have been watering when I step outside. My throat is scratchy. It feels like, I was describing this morning. It was like standing by a campfire for days and days in a row here. That scratchiness. So that's going to be an issue for that. When things calm down, it's enough to go back to emu. I did get an emu report yesterday. Emu was spotted in the Fithian area, so he's still out there. He's hanging out. So that's certainly, one day we'll just have the emu. I forgot to throw that in the mix. I've had to track an emu, so that's neat. How long are we supposed to deal with all this? The air quality will be, consider it bad through the rest of the day. Tomorrow will be better. I mean, we're talking, it's still not going to be great compared to a normal day, but relative to where we are now, by this afternoon, we'll start to see slow improvement. I think the biggest improvements come tonight into tomorrow morning. By tomorrow morning, we'll probably be in that orange range. We might be in the red range still, but it'll be better and moving in the right direction. And I think we'll get some cleaner air in here. It'll be hot and humid, but at least that thick smoke's not going to be overhead. And so perhaps within 24 hours, we'll start to see some gradual improvements. We'll be keeping an eye on things. Cami asking, how are the people in Canada doing? Are the fires contained? So there's 490 fires, I think I checked this morning, active. Over half of those are out of control. International aid and resources is up there. There's so many of them. 20 million acres have burned. I mean, it's just all of these factors. You've had dry thunderstorms. You've had wind. You've had drought up there. So it's just been a bad fire year for them. And we have struggled as well getting that pattern where the smoke has come our way. I showed a cool graphic about that. You can see that on my Facebook page after this. A little video that I put together, or our website. Kevin explains it as well there. The rain chances. Is it a high probability that everyone sees rain in the next couple of days, or can some places still miss out? I think some places could still miss out, maybe from specific rounds, but it seems more and more likely that you put enough brush strokes across the painting, eventually you're going to cover most of the areas. And we've got a lot of brush strokes that are moving through here. Chances for tonight, tomorrow night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I think you may not get the maximum amount. You may be some areas that get ½ inch to an inch. There will be some areas that get a lot of brush strokes over the same spot and could get to that 1, 2, 3 inch range mark here. Do I know exactly? No. This is one of those volatile patterns where those clusters of storms will do as they please, but I like the pattern that we're in to at least bring beneficial rain to a lot of us. And that rain will help with the smoke. You got to get enough of it. get enough of that rain to clean things out. The rain does act like a scrubber to the air. However, if it's not enough rain, like we've got some sprinkles, it may actually worsen it a little bit. Wes asking, are headaches normal? Yeah, everyone in the newsroom is like, I got a headache today. All of us having headaches, so that certainly is the case for it. Angela asking, is it better to be in the basement living room instead of the main floor? I don't really know about that. I don't have the answer to that. If you're talking about the smoke, if you're inside, your windows are closed, and you've got your AC running air in the house, and you got the fresh air filter on it, I think most of it should be fine, but you'll be able to tell that. Okay, seeing lots of questions still popping in. This is actually a question we posed in the newsroom. Do you think the emu would be affected? We just talked about animals in general, and so we'll have a story on how, like, what do the livestock do? What do your pets do? I hope you bring in your pets in the haze like this. But that would be something to kind of monitor. We're going to try and get a story and see what those impacts are. Okay. Still seeing questions, and a lot of those questions I've answered. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. If you still have a question, rewatch this video. It'll post on the Facebook page for the news account and my page here in a little bit. We'll get more updates on WCIA.com. I think we'll have a bit of an active couple of days here before the 4th of July weekend. Hopefully storms are finished for 4th of July. If anything, maybe this rain chances will help some of those fireworks displays resume in a timely fashion, because it's getting to that time of year. So we will keep you updated. That's what I have for you. Catch my latest forecast today at noon, and then Kevin's in at 5, 6,